The following conversation is with Karine Genest, an incredibly inspiring and adventurous human being. She's a polar bear guide in Churchill, Manitoba. She's an expedition leader, having led trips all around the world. She's an environmental film producer and director. She's a radio host, and just through and through, an amazing human being. I so enjoyed this conversation and learning about her many insights around coexisting with apex predators, hearing about what her immersive experiences in the natural worlds look like, one of which was being charged by a polar bear. Another was scuba diving with orcas. Just an incredible conversation and such a gift for myself. Went back and forth whether or not we were going to post this because unfortunately the audio equipment that I was using at the time is really not up to par. But given how much of a fruitful conversation we had, we decided to go forward with posting this episode and helping draw from some of her ample footage from her experiences in the natural world to really help compensate for the bad audio. And we did shoot another episode that will be released in the coming weeks that really dives into some of the expeditions that she's led and what some of those pieces have looked like. But I so appreciated this conversation. I so appreciated getting to know Karine's story, and I sincerely hope that you do as well. Karine, very nice to have this conversation with you today. I've so appreciated getting to know your story over the past couple of weeks and your intentional relationship that you've cultivated with the natural worlds. Like, I think in just doing some of the research for this conversation and learning about your career and through our conversations, it's clear that it's all deeply interwoven and interconnected, but it's very adventurous. It's very open-minded. It's creative. There's so many different vessels. And so I really look forward to unpacking some of that and learning more about it. If you don't mind, could we just start at a high level? Can you give, I guess, a bit of a background on yourself and some of the projects that you're involved in right now, and what kind of leads you to being in Whitehorse and then Argentina coming up here?
Well, when I was young, I was always attracted by the Far West, the cowboy movies and the mountain and the grizzly bear. So I decided after the university to move here because I wanted to have grizzly bear in my backyard, and now I have. And it's been more than 20 years, and I am in the Yukon right now. And I used to be a guide, an expedition guide for like almost 20 years. I still guide a little bit here and there, but I needed a break of people. And I switched to become a cinematographer, a producer, where I'm still outside, still with wildlife, still making my own schedule, but it's different. Instead of promoting wildlife for one group, now I can promote it on a national television.
Yeah.
So it's to me that was important to be able to do that, to just promote wildlife, promote environment, our beautiful planet. Just so people can see some places that they don't see, because doing expedition, you end up in some places sometimes that oh my God, it's so pretty. And you just you just want people to be able to see that place as well. And then being there and filming and putting it on YouTube or on broadcaster, it's amazing. I mean, that's what I was hoping to be able to do at one point.
Yeah. When you think about that, it seems like there's almost, you're hoping people get inspired to do something or to go to wild places, to have these raw moments with the natural world. I know during the first time that we talked, you were talking about this idea of you only steward and protect the things that you're in relationship with, but you need to cultivate that relationship. And it seems like through your work and through guiding in Knowles, and some of the guiding that you've done here and getting people to have experiences with polar bears, there's an invitation for people to access kind of those wild places. Where does that inspiration come from?
I realized that more time you spend with something, that it is human, wildlife, or plant, or whatever, like, more valuable this becomes to you, like more you want to take care of it, when you want to protect it. And I figure out that, to me, that's what happened. More time I spend with the polar bears or bears, like I want to protect them, and I want everybody to understand what they can give you back. Like I feel like every kind of wildlife to me has a feeling different that they're giving me back. Like polar bear, I feel very, very like grateful. Like, that the polar bear is gonna decide to sit in front of me or nurse in front of me or like just being around me. Like, oh my God, this is like I feel privileged to be able to have that experience. With other wildlife, it's different feeling, but with polar bear, it's this. So.
Yeah. But how do you overcome that fear? Rightfully so. Like during your childhood, do you have experiences where where you kind of tapped into that unknown element of being in a wild place, potentially having an interaction with, like, not a polar bear probably at that point, but like an apex predator? There's like a piece to that I feel like a lot of people are fear and risk adverse. They don't want to expose not only themselves, but definitely their children. But it seems like
from a young age, that hasn't been
your path. You've leaned into it.
Yeah, well, like we talk about it, when I was younger, I was so scared of black bears. In Quebec, I was so scared of black bears, and I did an expedition on the George River. And one day, they were black bear everywhere. Like, at one time, I think we saw like 11 or 12 black bear that day. And I was going to sleep, like, going in bed, and I was always like stressed and anxious. And I'm like, okay, I need to sleep here. Like, we're going to get a month on the river. Like, I need to calm down and relax and enjoy. So like one night, I don't know what I told myself, but I was like, okay, I'm trusting my feeling. I'm trusting myself. If something's going to happen, I will wake up. Like, that's it. Like, that's enough to be scared of something that it's not happening or it will not happen. Or it's, my brain is playing with me right now, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Like, on time, I would react properly at any kind of situation that can be like, like a bad one or a good one or whatever. So I need to trust myself. So since that day, I don't know, but like that was the last time I got scared of bears. They're scary. I mean, like, don't take me wrong on this. Like, they can kill human, like, black or like any kind of apex predator. But like, I figured out that I prefer like being, how can I say that? You can be scared of something, but you don't want to fear them all the time. Can I say this?
Yeah.
Here, like, like it's okay to be scared, but like don't fear them like all day long.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
100%.
Yeah. So like that's a little bit like how I want to, like, how I want to promote bears, because like when I go for a hike, like I always have my bear deterrent.
Yeah.
Like, you never know the past of the bear when you're going to meet it, like what happened in the morning for him. Like, so you never know which mood it's going to be. So that's why, like, you always want to be prepared to something that, you need to adapt it. So, but like, being stressed for a hike because there's a bear, that, I mean, you need to trust yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. More in that way.
It's interesting because I think it is like one that trusts yourself. You know that you can perform, you can draw from past experiences where you've been able to learn that in these moments of fight or flight or whatever it is, you're able to still process that information that you need to and do things. And I'm sure that you've had some near misses along the way. You've had moments where, you go too far. I think that's one of the pieces that I've really been playing around with, this idea of like a rite of passage. And it seems like society right now doesn't have an openness to exposing young people to these moments where you build upon that skill set. You push this person into an area where they're outside of their comfort, they're outside of the norms that have, governed much of their life up until that point. And there's risk in it. And I'm sure there's moments where, that child or young adult would have to kind of be on that threshold. But through being on the threshold, you get to the moment that you're explaining where there's that like belief of, I will wake up and do what I need to do. How do you feel like we can kind of re-equip society with that? How do you think that we can bring that in? Because I think it's the piece that's missing with people's relationship with the natural world.
Yeah.
We get so fixated on these pieces that are hard to predict and they're hard to plan for. But through exposure to more of them, you get enough of a toolkit where you can actually navigate that space and you can do the right things that lead to, you know, survival or lead to these different things.
Well, you know, like sometimes I was wondering what I was doing wrong because my own friend were like, "Don't you think you're a little bit close to the bear?" And I'm like, they don't get it. Like, I've been doing this for so long now. They don't understand that maybe I know something that they don't.
Yeah.
Or like they just like think I'm stupid. Either one. I mean, like, you know, if I'm close like this, there's a reason.
Yeah.
And then I decided to turn everything around and looking at myself and I'm like, okay, what am I scared of? Because like if I'm not able to convince my friend, my own friend, how can I convince like, you know, other people? So I figure out that my fear, I'm scared of spider.
Oh.
That I'm so scared of spider.
Yeah.
And you know, I was like, why am I scared of spider? And I remember when I was little, my dad, like, you know, I was maybe 3 or 4, my dad saw a spider, you know, the tiny one with long legs.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, and I'm like, oh, Dad, there's a spider. And he killed it. So I don't like spider. And then I'm like, oh, so what you don't like, what you're scared of, you kill it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, you know, you teach your kid about that. And then I realized also that, you know, with the time, spider bit me. And I don't like it. I don't like being bitten by spider because they're tiny, they're sneaky, like they're somewhere you don't see them. Like, no, I mean, a bear, you're going to see the bear coming toward you. The spider, no. And I'm like, how? And you know, all my friends are like, it's okay, spider are great. You know, you're not going to die. They bit you. It's all good and all. And all of that, I'm still scared of it. So I'm like, what do I need to do for myself to understand the process of removing a fear from something?
Interesting.
And then that was all like the last 2 weeks. I was like, because like, you know, with all that coexisting project that I'm doing, I'm like, okay, I need to figure out how to promote in an emotional way, in a rational way, like, you know, coexisting with bears. So I think that, you know, if I go somewhere in a controlled environment where there's spider, and maybe I leave the spider going on myself, like, you know, on my hands or whatever, in a controlled environment, maybe, like, you know, maybe it could decrease. Yeah, it could decrease my fear and I have towards spider.
Yeah.
So I figure out that, you know, more people you can bring, maybe seeing bears and like making them like getting like a close and like a trusty like relationship with them. Like maybe this like can like improve, you know, the thought that we have the social like rumor about bears that, you know, they killer.
Yeah.
And like, so that's what I thought that maybe could work.
Yeah.
But we're still trying. I mean,
it's such an interesting approach because it is through like just that exposure to you actually having to process this moment. And you go through it and you get to see the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Like the worst case scenario is you get bit and it's annoying. And like odds are, particularly in Canada, nothing really that severe is going to happen, you know? But I totally get it. I'm terrified of spiders and snakes in particular. But there's not that many poisonous snakes for whatever reason. Yeah, that's a really interesting approach. So you think it's almost through like experiential learning.
That's what I think right now, because like, I mean, my friend, like, my good friend, like, you know, if I'm still not able at one point to convince them, like, you know, don't be scared when you go for a walk, and like they're still scared, and I'm like, okay, like, so like, it's missing like, you know, a puzzle, in all of that, like, you know, a part of the puzzle. So yeah, that's a little bit what I was thinking, because like when I started working on my coexisting project with bears, that was very good for me, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. How can I do something that I'm going to, you know, convince people to want to coexist with them? Not necessarily have them in their backyard, but like stop killing them because they're scared of them. And doing all those research, I realized how complex it is, but so complex. Like everybody has a different definition for coexisting.
Yeah.
Like, you know, my definition, like bears can come on my backyard, they can touch my things outside, they can do like, it's fine. But my neighbor, like, she's saying, oh, I'm coexisting with bears, but I don't want them to be more than like one overnight, or on my place.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, this is not coexisting.
Yeah.
You know? But then for her, it is. And then realizing that, you know, other people is something different, I had to turn again the question around him. I'm like, so what is my limit? Like when for me, it is a no for bears.
Yeah.
And it was like, if they tried to touch my dogs or if they tried to kill or hurt my dogs, that's a no for me.
Yeah.
So like, I had to go through that process to understand like, okay, everybody has different limits. And then like, so it's very, very, very complex. And like, when the emotion get in that situation that should be rational, it's different as well.
Yeah.
So it's it's an interesting subject.
It's an interesting subject, and I think it's 100% relevant right now as people start to challenge kind of that threshold of coexisting with bears, particularly in BC and Alberta. You see, after the most recent attack in Bella Coola, there's a fear that I think invokes a desire for change and to control this environment. One thing that you've kind of woven in a couple of times is ability to pick up on body language or to like read the moment. And you understand that there's like a dance that you're kind of part of where there's the humility and respect for this animal. But just because you have that humility and respect doesn't mean that you can't have an intimate relationship with it. Yeah. And you've been able to kind of find those boundaries and know how to navigate that space. Whereas I don't feel like a lot of people have that. And so when they hear about a bear attack, they assume the worst. They don't want that for their children, their family, for themselves. And so it's very irrational. It's very fear-driven. How do you, like, what are the pieces that you think would be crucial to have as part of this conversation when people think about coexisting with bears? What are the pieces that you think people are leaving out? Like
I mean, wildlife are predictable. They're not like human irrational. Like they're very predictable. And like, more a species, like a bear, let's say, like, you're going to understand his behavior. And more that bear, more you're going to know what he's going to do. So like, like they're going to tell you, like, they're going to tell you they don't want you around. But when you're with them, at one point, you start to be grounded, like you're grounded with the environment, with the weather, with like whatever you see there. Like, you don't think about tomorrow. You don't think about whatever. Like, you're there at the present moment. And then like you start feeling a connection and like, it's between the bears and you. And then you really, really need to trust your feeling. And like, because like if the bear doesn't want to see you there, he's going to show it to you. And like, if the bear, like, has his head down, like a polar bear, if a polar bear has his head down, like, crosses like legs, if like, you see he's doing that, like you see those are anxious, like move. Okay. So like you need to make him being comfortable or like, stop thinking. So like you need to act differently when you see that behavior. But if the bear is just like, his nose, like, in the air and he's trying to smell you. Yeah. So it's totally fine. They're allowed to be curious, totally allowed. Like, it's not because like, you want to see what you are, that it's dangerous. They're just trying to figure out what you are. And then like, at one point, this connection is going to become stronger. And like, sometimes in church, like, you film a bear, you're with a bear for a long time and you see another bear coming from far away and your guts are telling you like, I don't know, it's weird. Like, you don't feel it, but you don't see the bear, like, you see it, but far away, but you just don't feel it. And you decide to listen. Well, you need to listen your feeling and you just like, retreat, step back. And then you see that when the bears show up, the other bears leaving too, you're like, maybe I was not the only one, like, having that feeling. Yeah. So you really need to connect, like, with your environment and like yourself as well. And I think that's beautiful when you're able to do that. Oh my God, the connection you can have and everything that can relate to that and come back to you, like it's wow. Yeah. Wow. Because like, bears or like any apex predator, like they're so smart. Like they know, like, we are the apex predator. Like, so, and they're not created, to destroy the humanity. They just want to survive. Yeah. And they want to coexist with us a lot more that we want to try. A lot more. Yeah. It's interesting. There's such a intuition that you speak about. There's such a belief that you can you can process these moments and be taking in information and body language off of something that, lives off of meat. And like, I think
a lot of people lose sight of that. They view like carnivore polar bear is able to, I forget what the number is, like how much meat does a polar bear
It's
need
like
to
one
eat?
seal every 5 days for them to be like in a good shape.
Yeah, which is an absurd amount of calories and like but you're talking about like a consciousness almost, like they are reading off of information just as you are, and you're communicating with one another without having words. Like what, when you think about kind of that concept of like that communication with the natural worlds and that gut feeling that is processing that information, like what goes into that for you, and like how have you learned to trust that feeling?
I mean, like, it starts from something super simple, like that you're driving somewhere and you have the feeling to take this one instead of the other one. You don't know why, but you just trust yourself for that.
Yeah.
You just take that road instead of like the second one. And like, that's the beginning of like trusting yourself. But like when you become in like, outside, like, how can I say that? When you become outside of your comfortable zone, like, the fear, like all the emotion takes over. And it's so hard, like, to be able to listen to yourself and like hear other than the fear, and the fear that just like covered everything else. So that's why you need to remove the fear. Like, it's okay to be scared of the bears, but remove that fear so you can be grounded and like be there. And then like you're just gonna, and but it's hard to tell. I mean, it's hard to say, like, I'm putting myself with a spider. Like, I can't understand how hard it can be. And more because, like, we have been taught since we're baby to be scared of bears.
Absolutely.
Like, everybody, like, I'm scared of bears. Like, like it's since ever, ever. Like, so I think everything that the human is scared of, like, it's become like, a danger, and we just destroy it.
Yeah.
That's our culture. So like, trying to change this and just like trying to connect and be comfortable and like just, okay, it's all good. Like it's not an easy task. And, like people who work every day, like, 9 to 5, and then like don't have the chance to go outside of their like, little working area or their town.
Yeah.
Like it's harder. And like, it's not like watching a documentary that you're going to feel, oh, okay, I can coexist with bears now.
Totally.
You need to experience it. You need to feed it and see what you get back and what you can give out of it. You know, like it's a common relationship. Like, they trust you, you trust them. And then like, that's how everything works.
Yeah.
Like, a human, like a couple relationship, like, there's like an exchange. And that's the same thing with wildlife.
Yeah.
We just need to want to do it and take the time. It takes time. It takes a lot of time. It's not something that's going to happen like, in an hour.
Totally. I think it takes time. And also there's those moments where you pushed too far.
Yeah.
You've gone, like, can you speak to, because I think that aspect builds into your intuition and your trust. You've had those moments where you've reflected of like a screwed up that could have been really bad, and like it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But we've all had those moments, particularly anybody who's, done an expedition. There's those, I remember I put my tent before, like I had camped much. I wanted to wake up to a sunrise in the mountains. And so I put it directly on this edge of like, it's going to be so good. I'm going to have my morning coffee and just be looking out at this expansive, beautiful mountain range. The biggest storm ever hit in the middle of the night. And there's like, I have a memory of the wind was howling and pushing against my tent. And I was pushing back because I knew it is going to launch me. Which is like, I'll never do that again. You know that there's like levels to this game, But you have to have those moments where you learn, like, don't put your tent there. There's a flood zone. And just because it's going to be an epic coffee in the morning, like, it's probably not worth maybe like that risk. Like what are those moments for you that you've had, particularly around bears, but also just guiding in general or time in nature?
I mean, like, it's to, there's a quote like, be prepared for the worst, but don't let it happen. And I really like that sentence.
Yeah,
I really, really like it. And like, I've been charged by polar bears, and I've been charged by grizzly and all of that, but like I've been charged once by polar bear. And like I said earlier, that you never know like what was the morning of the bear, like what is his mood.
Yeah.
That was the perfect example for it, because like we had a mom and cub that was trying to make it to the coast in Churchill, but she was pretty spooky. Every time she was seeing a vehicle, she was going back in the trees, and then like, she was trying, and then she was going back in the trees until she decided to make it to the coast and be able to try to hunt seal with her cub, and then like eat seaweed or that kind of stuff, or being like, where she should be.
Yeah.
And then like one day she made the move. She's there. We worked with her like for a good 2 weeks. She was amazing. Like I called her like courageous and Ocean, like courageous because she made it. She just did it. And Ocean, her cub, because it was eating seaweed all the time, like always eating seaweed and seaweed. And this is super cute. So I called him like this. And then like, yeah, we could do almost whatever we wanted with them. Like they were super comfortable. And one morning she made it a bit too close to a buggy lunch, and she got like chased away that morning because it's not everybody that, are comfortable or want to have bears around. So she got chased there, and then she ended up on the main road, and she got chased again there from conservation. We don't really know why she got chased, but again, she got chased, and she ended up near my place at Camp Nanook, hiding in the bushes. It's noon. I have 4 dogs with me, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to walk them because I walk my dogs usually near my place, but like in an open area. And then like, I had 2 dogs from one of my friends. My friend showed up on my porch, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to walk my dogs and your dogs. Do you want to come with me? He would have said no 99.5%. And I was in the 0.05%, and he said yes. I'm like, perfect. So my plan was to walk from my place to like the Boy Scout sign. It's like 500, between around 400 meters, okay. And then come back just for the dogs to say, hey, we went for a cute walk, like, so like, I had the ski jury night after myself, the 2 dogs of my friend had one of my dogs on leash, and Peanut, my other dogs, was loose. Start walking, and then Peanut, like at one point, go in the bushes. She get out of the bushes, and then a bear spotted Peanut, and I'm like, Peanut, and then everybody stopped. Peanut stopped, look at me, all the dogs stop, and the bear stop and look at me, and then everybody start barking. The bear go back in the bushes, and Peanut follow the bear in the bushes. Now I was, oh. So call Peanut back, Peanut come back, the bear come back, and her cub, the same size of her, come back.
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh, but then like this triggered everything on that bear. Yeah. Like, and at that point I didn't know that was Courageous and Ocean. And then like, that bear, like she had 4 dogs barking after her. We didn't know at that time, but she got chased twice that morning that we didn't know, and she's hiding there because she just wants some space. And then my dog go there and like disturb her, and like 4 dogs are barking. So I always have all my bear deterrent, try to crack, and she's coming toward us. And I tried to cracker shelf her. I almost never do it. It went like so past.
You try to what, sir?
Cracker shelf her, like, I had like, so those marine flare.
Okay, yeah.
Like, those flares.
Yeah.
I shot her with a flare, but like it went so past her. And then like she stopped, looked behind her, and then look at us again and come toward us. Like just kept going toward us.
Oh my gosh.
But I always have 2. So I did the second one, and I got her right 1 foot in front of her face on the ground. Perfect, Amy. Perfect. Again, she stopped 2 seconds, but like she was on a mission, protecting her cub or protecting her space because she wanted space. But like at this point, like, my friend he was a bear guy too, give me back my dog on leash. And then I took all the dogs going back to my place when he controlled the bears, like, make it to his vehicle and chase her again that morning. Yeah. So like she has been chased so many times, but she was amazing for all that time for those 2 weeks before. But then like, she got chased. And then dogs and like, it would have been predictable if you would have known it. Yeah. But like you cannot know what happened to a bear before you made it. Totally. So like that's a little bit what happened. And then I'm like, okay, well, like it's a good like lesson because I could the worst thing I would have had to done is to let go the dogs. And my place was there. Yeah. Like I was pretty close to my place, but like you have dogs that are curious, they don't understand. You want them to come back with you, but there's a bear there and they want to bark and protect you. Yeah. So like I would have had to let go the dogs, put the dog's life in danger, put the bear life in danger, because like, I just decided to go there with my dogs in peak bear season, in like, just like, yeah. So that was a very learning experience. After that, I always went in town, or I was going like, on the lake when it was frozen and it's super wide, I was going after the peak when the ice was there and all the bear were gone.
Yeah.
That's when I was going back again for walks around my place.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like it could have been, predictable. If I was going there on my own, it could have been like very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got scared, but more scared of like putting the dog's life in danger and putting the bear life in danger.
Yeah.
It
That's
was
heavy.
like, oh, what did I do? What did I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, my hands started sweating just hearing this story and trying to picture it in my mind of here's a polar bear, here's a cub, there's dogs barking, there's chaos.
Yeah.
You're firing a deterrent, the deterrent's not working, and you're trying to process, like, did you have a gun?
No, because
No.
I'm not quite agree with gun, because I figure out that people who has gun might push it more that if they don't, they might think less or analyze, like, process less that if they don't.
Interesting. Let's explore that, because we're as you know, I'm doing this big paddle like through the Yukon and Alaska, and one thing, like, we definitely want to be bear safe. We want to have respect for the bears. We're going to encounter plenty. I have committed to, like, at the very least one person should have a gun, of the worst case scenario, last resort kind of thing. But what advice would you give to somebody, like, not a lot of people are going to be around polar bears, but grizzly bears or black bears a bit less so. Like, I find they're a bit more charismatic, shy, and like a bit more predictable. My time around grizzly bears, it's a bit harder to read, even that idea of like a bluff charge. How would you know that that's a bluff charge and you should be using bear banger or bear spray? Or how would I know that that's not a bluff charge and I should be ready to potentially, like, use a gun?
You won't know until the bear stop.
That's terrible.
I mean, like, like, because like for polar bears, like, in Churchill, we must have a gun. Okay. We must, because that's our permit regulation. I went to film polar bears in the Ongava Bay in Quebec, in the Tongat Mountain. And that's a fly in, fly out every day to make it to the mouth of a creek with the Arctic Ocean. And then the bears there are fishing Arctic char, like salmon here. And because that was a national park, and like, we were flying in and out, we didn't have guns. Like, we had just like those two yellow, orange marine flare taped together, and that's what the guide had. And we were getting as close as Churchill of the bear, like as close, and we didn't have bears. But the difference? At that place, that was one business going there. So like, you knew that, like, that you knew how that, every staff that was going there were going to act the same way. Like, you knew that those bears, like, are the same bears, and they have a routine. Yeah. In Churchill, you have 10 different business that act 10 different way with bears. So there's no like routine with human. And then where you're gonna go? Well, there's a lots of like camping, and you never know what the other camper did before. Did they left food there? Did they do that? Like, because I've heard like horror story of people not having a gun, but like bear, like, just coming and having to use rocks. Yeah. Because the bear was just coming, but like that was a really popular campsite. Yeah. So like these people, like, they didn't do the leave no trace, and they were food, and like, the bear got human food habituated, like, because a bear that is human habituated, it's fine, but a bear that is human food conditioned, that's the big thing. Okay, hold on. What are the difference? Yeah. Okay, so a bear that is human habituated, it's totally fine. But a bear that is like food conditioning, that's what is a bear problem. Okay, because it's two different things. A bear that's no human but doesn't know the human food, it's fine. Yeah. He just know human. But the bear that associated food with human, that's the problem bear. Okay. So when I work with bears, that is black bear, grizzly, whatever, polar bears, I prefer that bear that are human habituated. They're so easy because, like, they know you, like, they can get comfortable if they trust you. But a bear that is like food conditioning, that's, those are the problem bear. And those are like, the one you need to be careful. And then,
Okay.
Yeah.
But,
So
sorry, go ahead.
so we'll not know on your trip,
Yeah.
like which, like, if the bear had been eating food or not before, like that kind of stuff, or he got chased, and like, it's, there's a lot of unknown.
There's unknown, and I think it's very real in that moment for anybody who's going to have an experience with a bear.
Yeah.
Like, I think I told you about my hunting story with my encounter with a grizzly bear for the first time, and like I haven't publicly ever talked about it, but like in that moment you confront all these ideas of what you thought that you would do, and then you're overwhelmed with adrenaline, and you're overwhelmed with fear and respect, and you're trying to process sounds that like you might have heard for the first time. So I had never heard of a bark. I had like heard that they bark at you, but actually hearing how like eerie the clap of the jaw and just like I can't get it out of my mind. I can't replicate the sound, but like that sound is just iconic to that moment, and it shows like you've startled the bear, which I absolutely did. And like all the brush breaking, and like you're just catapulted into a very real moment. And I think it's difficult. I listened to a podcast where there was a guide, and he talked about, I've been bluff charged like 20 times. And it made me wonder, like, how hasn't he taken the shot all of those 20 times? Maybe he never talked about the times that he has, and maybe he has, but he made it seem like he was picking up on a moment of like this behavior that the bear is showing as it charges in and it's moving 60, 70 kilometers at you.
Yeah.
Don't kill it, because it's going to steer off. Like how...
I mean, like, if the bear, you see the bear, like, if you scare the bear, it's most likely going to be like, a bluff charge.
Okay.
Like, if you scare it and then it just comes, it might push you, might touch you, but like, it's going to be probably a bluff charge. If she has cubs and you scare her, might be a bluff charge as well, because like usually they want to protect, they don't want to put their life in danger either. They want to still like, just bluff charge, and then they go back to their cubs.
Okay.
It's more like, if you see like a bear that just come toward you, don't give a shit, that is not scared of you, and just come and decide to charge you, this one is a different one.
Okay.
Yeah. Like usually like
if you haven't startled it, there's no rhyme or reason why it's running at you. That's
like,
when you should...
Yeah. Like, if he's there and he's analyzing you, and then like he's not like having any like, like it's hard to explain, but like if the bear like want to do it, like, and he just like come very confident, and then like, he's going to see you and he decide to charge you. Like if you scare a bear, you will know it right away. Like, you're going to scare it and it's going to charge you and then like stop. But like, if the bear know that you're there and it's just going like trying to smell you and go around you, and then he decide to charge you, that can be a bit trickier.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it speaks to like the complexity in this, and like that idea of coexisting.
Yeah.
I think particularly in BC, like it's kind of laughed at in a lot of communities of the vast majority of people who voted to change like the policy around bears were in Vancouver, who didn't have a relationship with bears and might not have ever had what we're talking about, that experience. They might not have experienced the fear of like, you've startled a bear on a trail, and now you're catapulted into a very real, like potentially do or die, or just moment of a dump of adrenaline, and you're going to sleep good that night because you're so exhausted from...
But I mean, like, if you look the past attack, like most of the time something was wrong with the bear.
Yeah.
Like not most of the time. And like there's even a book about that for the tiger. The man killer, like, most of the tiger had something too. Like, and the deadly attack we had here, like, the grizzly bear had something.
Yeah.
Like,
you're talking about Balacoola?
No, like we had two in the Yukon, like, we had one, like, in November at -30 outside, like, on a chap line. And like the bear was like skinny, pretty sick. He ate like a porcupine just before.
Okay.
And then he was like, his stomach was full of quill and all of that. He was not in a good, he was not in a good shape. And then that's when that deadly attack happened. And another one happened like a few years before that too. Yeah. And again, the bear was sick. When they did the autopsy, the bear was sick. Yeah. And in Belacoola, that mom was hurt too. So like, I mean, like I never want to badmouth bears. So like, I'm not gonna tell you like, But like, I figure out like a bear will not attack you for no reason.
Yeah.
You know, they will not try to kill you for no reason. Because yeah, like, you know, I think when you look at all the society, the human is the only one that kill for fun.
Yeah.
So, you know, if a bear attack you, there's a reason. And if you look a little bit of the life of, what was the guy in Alaska? He was so contradictory.
Yeah.
Tiffany. I forget his name. He got killed
Okay.
by a bear. Anyways, he was there like you know, in
You're
Alaska.
talking about the film. I never saw this Grizzly Man or
Oh,
something.
yeah. I forget his name, but like, yeah, he was there, and he did an amazing document. Actually, there's 2 documentaries.
Yeah.
One that has been made
Okay.
about him. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But one that have been made with his footage. And this is a good one.
Okay.
Because you can see, like he's thinking, you can see, oh, I don't like that bear. You know, no. And the bear was talking in his journal. That's the bear that killed him. You know, but he was like seeing that bear for a few weeks, and he was just seeing it. I don't like the vibe of this one.
Yeah.
I don't like the vibe. And I'm like, yeah. So, but like, yeah. So I think I truly believe that, you know, when you get attacked, there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
And, you know, if the bear want to kill you, can kill you right away.
Yeah.
And so many survive, but so many so many survive from a bear attack. But like, if they could have killed them, they could have killed them if they wanted to. So, but yeah, it's a hard subject as well, because you don't want to hurt anybody's feeling. Like, you know, you don't want to say, well, you guys were cooking on the trail, you were making noise, and when the bear started attacking, the kid were screaming.
Yeah.
Or running. And this is predator-prey behavior. You don't want to run away. You don't want to scream away, like, because you are the victim. You are the prey at that point, because you act like it.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, so it's hard to it's hard to comment on it without, like, you know, in being very neutral and not hurting anybody's feeling.
Totally.
Because like, I mean, like, we do lots of mistakes sometimes, and that's how you realize how bears are so tolerant.
Yeah.
But like in Churchill, that's like, you know, so like obvious, like everybody and every tourist, like even guides, you're like, oh my God. And the bear's just like super calm, like just let it go. And you're like, oh, thank you, bear.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because it could have been a catastrophe.
Totally.
And then like, yeah, so.
I think it really speaks to like that idea of people, place, and identity.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you talk about like understanding the bear, and even the Grizzly Man, he journaled about this bear and he had observed like something's off. Mm-hmm. But I feel like because so few of us actually go out and see the seasonal change, see potentially, you know, when it's fall, it could be quite a hard fall. And when you actually live intimately with the land, you experience it yourself. This winter up in the Yukon being abnormally cold and breaking all these records. When we were doing the drive up through the Rockies, you see the amount of moose that are close to the highway.
Yeah, crazy.
It's crazy, but you see like they're also experiencing this.
And there's this of snow instead of this.
Exactly. And like, how do they navigate that? And like, it's nuanced, because I feel like when people talk about an animal, they try and like generalize it. Like you can just bucket like, this is grizzly bear behavior, or this is orca behavior, or this is, you know, whatever it is. But it's not like that. There's a individuality that you see in these animals. Anybody who has dogs sees it, of like, a dog is not the same as another dog. Like you pick up on how, and I think we've like lost sight of that. And so we just go like, oh, I've been in bear country, but maybe you've been in bear country where, like you're saying in Churchill, you can like, the relationship's a little bit different because the identity of the people and guides that operate in this space have shaped that relationship and like molded it.
And I feel like, you know, even though if bears are different, every like predator are different as well. Like, you know, I was telling earlier that I feel like I'm very like privileged when a bears is there. Well, like, you know, if I am with other wildlife, like, you know, orca, you mentioned orca. Like I went to swim with orca, but my feeding with them, I was feeling like safe. Weird to say, huh? I was like, you know, like you're with them and like they usually like, you know, do their things and they totally know you're there. But my feeling, I was just feeling safe. Like, I would love to be able to say I'm feeling safe with bears, but
Yeah.
no, I'm feeling privileges of the bear decide to stay there in front of me or sit there or nurse there. But like with Orca, I was just like feeling so safe. I was just safe.
Interesting.
And then like when I am with like, other wildlife, that's, there's always a different feeling too. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's pretty different for everybody. And maybe different as well, like, with the experience and then I have with them.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, so it's, you need to listen yourself. You need to be connected with yourself and live it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you bring me in the water with you? Because I've seen the video, and I've been fortunate enough to had some orcas actually hunt around my sea kayak on a solo. I was doing a 4-day solo. I came in, there was like some porpoises in this bay. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be incredible. Took out the GoPro, and then some transient orcas came through, and they hunted. I actually have footage of like right underneath my boat, and then the bowl pops up and the mouth's open. I dropped the GoPro. I thought I was getting hit 100%, and then you see like the porpoise pop up beside my boat, and like, so for me, like the idea of being in the water, with an animal that shows such intelligence, such like I even talked to Orca Lab. They had a research station, and I had spoken with some of the researchers, and they were saying with transient, with the resident orcas, they can pick up on language, and they can decipher the different pods or families. I forget what the actual name is, but with transient, they can't, because they're hunting porpoises or dolphins, and so they don't communicate the same way. And what I saw that day was like, it was strategy. There was 3 of them pushed these porpoises underneath my boat, and it looked like there was a couple waiting in the open channel. And the idea of them somehow piecing together that puzzle and doing what they did in a way that we still don't know how they communicated that blows my mind. And you got in the water with them. And so for me, it's like, I can't wrap my head around, like, what was that like?
But first of all, Orca killed people only when they were in a pool. Like, like in the 2 deaths that we had from Orca, that was Orca that was stuck in a tiny pool, and like that was never happened. This never happened in the wild. Okay. I mean, I can understand. Don't put animal in a zoo, in a pool, whatever.
Absolutely.
Like, and animals smart like this, please don't. So like, first of all, this, so never happened in the wild. Now they're saying that, transient and resident, this starting to don't use anymore those words, those name, because they're saying that it's per like places now. Like every places are different and they hunt differently. So like that's more like how they try to identify them as now, because they were saying like, oh, the resident are okay, you can swim with them, but not the transient or the other side, like, and then at one point, oh, no, like, they all the same, but they just are different depending on the place. And then in Norway, I mean, like, I went there in a controlled environment. Well, controlled as it can be. Controlled. I had a guide. I was going there for filming. And then, like, he totally understood whales' behavior. And then, like, sometimes we were doing, like, pass by. So they were, like, dropping us in the water. And the whale was just passing by, and we're just like filming it passing by. And then like, but like the famous shot, it's like when they're doing the bubble feeding. So like, but the guys were good enough. So like, that they were putting us in the water right at the good time. So we were not exhausted, or like, the whale was around, but we were not on it. Because you don't want to be on it, because you can have a humpback that come anytime and grab everything. But like just being in the water, and then like knowing that your guide is telling you what to do. And like, and those orcas are so big, and they're so smart. Like you were describing, like how they were hunting, like over there, like, all the female and the cubs like are in the bottom, and they turn in circle, trying to make all those like little fish, making a bubble, like a circle, and like just turning and turning. So you have all those female and babies in the bottom, and they turn in circle, and all those big men on the top, and they do the same thing. So if they do it enough, so like the water start turning and all the fish start turning with the water. And so when it's turning on its own, then they go and they grab one little fish at a time. One little fish like this, like, like this. Grab one, and then they retreat and they eat it, and they go grab another one. But like, it's so, I mean, like they know you're there. They totally know it. But like it's in how can I say, it's like, in a respectful environment that we do it. Like we're all there for the same reason. We all want to like, protect them. Like we all want to show like how beautiful they are. So like, I think, and they have been doing it for a while as well. So I didn't go there in the ocean on my own, decided I'm swimming with those guys. So I went there, like everything was planned ahead. So like, it does remove like, pressure and fear, because you know that, it's controlled in one way.
Yeah.
So you just go there again, like there. It's okay to be scared of them, but not fear them.
Yeah.
So like, just went in the water, knowing that, they can be dangerous, but like that never happened in the wild with human. And then just like doing it and just be ready to open yourself to whatever. And then like, it's, oh my God, when you do it and you just decide to try it,
yeah, I can
like
imagine.
the feeling and the emotion, like, it's just like so strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I wish everybody, like every New Year, I wish you to have a connection, with the wildlife or nature or something like this. So.
Yeah, it's beautiful, because I think it's those moments that get you to see that we do have this connection, and you can pick up on like an awareness in these animals. I had it in Africa with an elephant, and you could 100% like feel that this elephant was trying to communicate with us as it walked towards us, and it was so close, like max like 10 feet away, and it was just grabbing grass and kind of throwing it at us. But it was such like a dance, and you have this moment that you get to see that humans have coexisted with the wildlife around us for time immemorial. It's this current generation that seems to lack that, and I think it's what makes a lot of people overlook ideas of like intuition and gut and consciousness, like even this argument that humans are the conscious ones. And then for anybody who's like yourself, spent time around animals like orcas and polar bears, and I don't want to silo it to like hand picking specific animals, because I think there's more that show it than not. And yet it seems like we have this reluctancy to acknowledge that. It's like we want to hold on to this power of like, we have awareness, we have like, we mourn, we show emotion this way, or like we have nuance. But then when you see orcas and whales and elephants and bears showing like they're processing the same things, like what do we do with that,
Well, you're gonna tell a human about that. You're gonna do that. I mean, like, I think we're not humble enough.
Yeah.
Like, I think, well, I mean, like, it's a complicated one. I don't know where to, it's like going back to coexisting again. So like, I don't know how you can, I mean, like, I just think that, they're rational. Everything they do is rational, and what we do can be a lot irrational and based on emotion.
Yeah.
Like, in that way. And I think what they do, it's based on more rational. And then like, they're not gonna, like, they're never gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be, oh, he pissed me off. Tomorrow I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do that to him.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. So I think, it's a good, I think a bear's never going to lie to you. You're going to know it right away.
Yeah.
He's going to tell you, like, with his behavior and like, his vibe and all of that. I think they cannot, and they will not come back later, like I said, for vengeance or whatever. Well, what's that now to think?
Yeah.
It's like, probably tiger and like, maybe even like I heard a bear story and even an elephant story that, they came back for vengeance. So maybe I shouldn't say that.
Yeah. It's vengeance, but it's also like in the Elephant Whisperer. Have you read that book? It's such a powerful book. Oh my gosh, I love that book. I forget the author's name, but when he passes, the elephant migrate like a massive expansive distance and come to his home and mourn his death. Like there's no other way of seeing it and feeling what they did, and they spent time there. And there was an awareness that this person that I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but like this person that had shaped such a intimate relationship with them, and they had experienced communities that were going to put them down, this herd of elephants. And here's somebody with his wife that brought them in and had to navigate the trauma of these animals, but then the relationship that he built. One thing that I definitely want to like ask your perspectives on is I think a lot of people haven't done rites of passages, expeditions, this exposure into the unknown, and you've definitely shaped those experiences in plentiful ways. Like obviously orcas, polar bears, guy in the Yukon, like your time in Knowles. When you think about what are some pieces that one people should be aware of, like what is it that draws you to do that? Why do you sign up for this expedition that's coming up in Argentina? What pulls you to getting on the river and knowing like 2.5 weeks I'm with this group of people and we need to perform? But also, like in addition to that, for those that have never experienced something like that, like what's almost like a starting point that you think people?
Well, first of all, I don't do any of this because I want to wow and all of that. I just do it because I want to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't do all of that in the past for being known or like that kind of stuff. I was just doing it because I was curious and I just wanted to try it. And, like sometimes I don't think too much. I just do it. Like I do stuff and then I really like learning experiences. I'm going to do it and something happened, you learn and then you keep going. And that's the easiest way for me to learn. Like instead of learning in books before and all of that, I did try to do like 9-to-5 job, 9-to-5, a job 9-to-5,
Yeah.
5 days a week. And then actually that was totally not for me. Like I was feeling anxious. I'm sure like both time I did a depression. I've never been diagnosed, but like, crying because I have to go to work and then like thinking and being anxious. I'm working tomorrow and after tomorrow and after tomorrow again. And then next month and next year, I'm like, ooh, like, I feel claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Like it's totally not for me, but I tried and I'm happy that some people can do it. I'm so happy because it has to be done. But like, like to me, I'm more like, I'm more aware, I'm more awake, I'm more present when I'm doing like, that kind of stuff. And I know this is not for everybody either. Like, but what was the question?
Just trying to like what draws you to those.
I mean, like I used to do expedition and I wanted to do it just to discover like different places on the planet because I think it's so beautiful. And when you're doing an expedition, like I've seen like from like a mountain like to another mountain waiting to do the pass the next day, like a grizzly bear hunting sheep, but like you're there and you can see this live. Like he's on the top and then like you go there because he's trying to conturn them and then he sneak and he try to run and then they go run that way and you're like, oh my God, but that kind of stuff, it's TV. I mean, it's so better than TV. Like, it's live, you're there and you can see how they act naturally. And then like, that's what I really, really like when I was doing expedition. And it's because you disconnect. You're just there, like, you just have to walk, eat, like, like sleep, like it's so simple. And then like, to me, I don't know, and just like being happy to see a little flower and like, just like, being grateful for it or that kind of stuff. I think everything can be beautiful. Just depend how you look at it.
Yeah.
And then like doing expedition was bringing me this. And when I started to go more toward wildlife, I always loved wildlife, but like at one point I really went like, okay, that's just what I'm doing. I mean, like the connection like that you can get, it's like, it's the strongest thing on the planet. It's better than anything else. But like, it's so little people try it before. Like, if you look like on the big picture.
Yeah.
So like, it's I feel like we would have a better word if people would like understand more like how to connect with wildlife and nature and how to try to coexist with them. Yeah.
Because I think you're touching on like, it's deeply human.
Yeah.
That when you have those moments of like, when you say it's like you're watching TV, but it's like the real thing.
Yeah.
I totally know exactly what you mean. Like it feels like these are the things that, you might have seen in a David Attenborough film or something. And when you get to experience it firsthand, you're like, oh my gosh, this is possible. And then you like, it's easy to want to shape those moments. But how do you feel? So like, how does somebody start on that journey in your opinion? Like if you thought about, a family that might be acknowledging, like I actually had somebody reach out to me who spoke about exactly what you just talked about with the 9-to-5. and this feeling of like, I don't know how to break from this path that I'm on. And there's like bills and all this. And I know that there's more out there, but I don't know how to like access it. I don't know how to get there. What are some of the things that you think that everybody should cultivate in their own life that kind of puts them on a path where you can have these transformative experiences and you can have David Attenborough in real life?
Yeah. I mean, like everybody has, like you said, bill and like, commitment and that kind of stuff and kids or like, but I think it's to start with something small, like, a small goal that it is just to go in the backyard and look at what you have in your backyard.
Yeah.
Like, and start like, looking at flowers and looking at this and then like deciding to just like push a little bit more every time. And then like, but yeah, I mean, like I did concession when I was younger and I still do because like, with the lifestyle, like, I'm not always here. Like, so you need to accept and be comfortable with what you decide to choose, to pick, but you need to trust yourself.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the most, if you want to do an expedition or if you try to, okay, I'm going to raise money to go there, you just need to trust that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to have plan B. You want to just have plan A and make it happen.
Yeah.
You need to do it.
Yeah.
Like, if you start having plan B, C, D, it's because like you're not trusting yourself.
Yeah.
So like you need to just like trust. And I'm saying trusting yourself, like, not trusting yourself, I can talk in front like a theater, or like, that kind of trust. Like, there's different kind of trust, I think, in different like, field.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about just yourself, like, and like really listening to yourself, what you want to do. Like, you can trust yourself to go talk, I don't know, like to go talk in front of a theater or to go like, walk on fire or whatever, like, some stuff like this. But like, no, just like trusting your feeling inside and that you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
that kind of stuff. Does it make sense?
It absolutely does. It absolutely does.
Because as soon as you think about different options, because you don't trust it.
Yeah.
So like that, just do it and you aim for it. And you know what? Lots of the time when I do that kind of stuff, I'm not emotional about it. Okay, I'm going there. I'm doing it. If I start putting emotion and if I'm talking about, and I'm very discreet about my stuff. Usually I don't talk about people because I feel if I start talking about people, I always hear like, what they think, their opinion, and I feel like this disturb my vibe about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want that. I want to focus. I want to focus and I'm going there and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to try to do this and I'm going to try. But like, yeah, I feel like people sometimes can just bring a different energy and different vibe. So depending what I'm doing, I like keeping it quiet and then like not having emotion, just like, okay, I'm doing it. And then being excited at the moment, not like, being excited before, but like when I'm doing it.
This is what I like was really hoping that you would touch on, because I think the world that you open up to people is so deeply inspiring and it feels so foreign to so many people. But meeting people like yourself who have done it and cultivated this life and continues to do that, I think is the piece that is super inspiring to those that have that feeling like there's got to be more. Like how is this my existence? Why do I watch, Planet Earth, which I did growing up. I watched Planet Earth and I always thought, wouldn't it be nice? And then I started to meet people that just did it and you're like, what? We can just do this? And like, not only can you just do it, the people that are creating the films that you're watching that are inspiring you are doing it in your backyard.
Yeah.
Like literally in the land that you're in. This is where they're getting those experiences from. But it feels so like there's an epiphany, an aha moment of like, oh my gosh, like I can get on this path. What for an inspiring film director, producer, somebody that's hoping to tell kind of environmental stories, what advice would you give them? Like how did you start?
Again, I was not planning on it. I barely planned stuff ahead. It just happened. But when I was younger and I always had a hard time to make a decision and I was like this or that. And then at one point I'm like, okay, I'm done with this stupid this or that. Like, because I was thinking 10 years ahead. I use a coin and I'm like, okay, if that's the moves, that's A, if that's the face, that's B. And I was doing it and I was going to accept whatever it was going to be. I was doing it. Okay, I guess that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, and at one point doing this, it became just easier without using a coin. you know, to make decision, because when I was younger, it was hard. It was complicated, you know, like, but like, yeah, I just decided to do it. And at one point when you just do it, like this and trusting without knowing what's happening, like, because I think my fear was like to think too much ahead. Like, you know, oh, but if I do this, this and this can happen. But if I do this, and like, you know, and it was just like too much at one point. And now just doing it, and then like, you know, decided, okay, I'm going to adjust. I will trust myself and I'm going to be able to react perfectly when something's going to happen. I think it's help. And then you just like, yeah, I'm losing my thoughts. But like, yeah, like when you decide to just like do it. Hold on here, I need to focus on my thought.
No worries.
What was the question again? Oh wait, what can I say to the people who want to try it? Okay, hold on. I was pretty far away. What can I say? I even don't know where I was going with this. Okay, I need to think.
Like, where do you get funding? Where do you get?
Oh, okay. And then when I decided to start, okay, you know, when you're at the right place and you connecting with that, all the doors open on its own. You don't have to work very hard. Like, you know, it's like, it's just, everything is simple, but you just follow your instinct. It's always coming back to your instinct, with wildlife, with nature, with like what you want to do with your life, with yourself. And then like, yeah, you just go in, the door's going to open on its own. And then I realized that every time I wanted to apply for a project, it started to work when I went to meet those people. I went to meet a broadcaster in Vancouver. I went to meet those ladies of the program for those other broadcaster in Montreal. You know, when I went to meet them, that's when it became just easier. I think I don't sell myself very well. I don't like selling myself, but I think just going there and showing your passion, just trigger everything. And then from there, like you email, and then like, you know, and everything is simple. And then after that, like, when you have the approbation of one broadcaster, this open everything, open the funding, open like everything else. And I think for like, you know, if you want to do it without, let's say like a broadcaster, you want to do it yourself. I mean, like, you need to trust yourself to do something, and don't be shy, like, you know, to do it first and then ask people for like, you know, the opinion on your project. Because if you ask while you're doing it, it can become very complex and complicated. Because it's so relative what people likes. So like, just do it. And then like, you know, you can like try to figure out for festival and that kind of stuff. And like, just go and call. And like, you know, more you do in other than just doing the application, like, you know, they said, send this there. If you try to call them, if you try to email other places and like even go on site, it starts to be easier, honestly. Because for me, once I met those broadcasters, easy. And these places as well where you can go, where there's like film festival, and there's all those people and you can meet them. And, you know, I really wanted to do something like, you know, with the nature of things before it changed. And then like I talked to a lady who talked to me, and then like she gave me a contact of another one, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna contact that student though. To contact her, email her, like, I've been told that I should meet you. And, you know, you write the email, and she's like, sure, I have like, you know, an opening from this to this. And, you know, I went to meet her. But it's really like, you know, trying and just like doing it. And worst case that can happen, like, I mean, like, it's gonna be no. Or like, you know, might look crazy sometimes, but like, you know, when you deal with people like this, they're already crazy. In the way that, you know, they didn't look like artists, and they didn't like, you know, but like people that, you know, think outside the box. So like they're aware of that. So they're aware. Like, you just try it and do it and laugh about it. That doesn't work well, I'm sorry. And you laugh, and then, okay, next one. You know?
Totally. Yeah. I love that. I think so, like, obviously, it's so nuanced, but through all of your work, there's so much passion and like authenticity. And I think that's what, like, when you talk about like that gut feeling, intuition, like it's this trust of like, you're very authentically you, and you trust that authenticity, and like you have carved out these experiences through it. And so it's hard to give that advice to somebody who's struggling to find like, what is the thing that like I'm truly passionate about? Because with you, it's very evident that it just like radiates through. Like you could see this, like, you know, like,
I see what you mean. Yeah.
yeah,
But I mean, like, I'm like this when, like, I can do stuff. Like, I barely sit down and, like, just like, okay, wait that the time pass. Like,
yeah,
I feel like there's always something to do, always something to try, always something to try. Like,
yeah.
it's 10 p.m. Oh, I'm going to read about permaculture, And then I feel like there's always something that, there's so many things to do. There's so many things. It's so complex. Everything is complex.
Yeah.
I mean, when you decide to deep in into the subject. So, like, yeah, it just like, I don't know, like, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I watch movie, but every time I watch a movie, they film it like this. I mean, it can be tiring too.
Yeah, because you're working all the time and like getting inspiration all the time. Yeah.
So it can be like, I just want to pray right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah.
I could totally see that. For anybody who like, how do people engage with your work? Nature 360. Like, tell me a little bit about like what projects you have on the go and like where can people find your previous?
Well, yeah, Nature 360 is my production house, and I also have my guiding business with the same name. Well, I'm not good because I don't have website. I mean, like, people find me and, like, I like it like this.
Yeah.
And then that's perfect because, like, yeah. But I'm working on website. I'm working on it. For guiding, it's more like, from mouth to
word of mouth.
Word to mouth.
Yeah.
It's more from word to mouth. Word to mouth, but like, yeah, it's from contact as well. And for the production, like, when you produce something, it's the broadcaster that own it.
Okay.
The way I produce right now, I always have a broadcaster. So, like, most of the time it is on their channel.
Okay.
You can find some of them, Earth Touch put them on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always depend of like which channel, and what is the contract. I can always, like, lead people to know where they can go and watch it on which website and, which broadcaster channel and that kind of stuff. So like they can have access to it.
Yeah. Because I think obviously so much powerful work, but like the bear series that you're working on, I think would be such a relevant and super interesting series for people to watch, of just like this idea of coexisting with apex predators. I think is the piece that unlocks a lot, because it makes us confront our fear. It makes us address like these boundaries and like, are they actually healthy boundaries, or should we, like you're saying with the spider, like challenge them? Should you bring a spider into your life? Should, like, I know for me, going into bear territory has been a piece that's unlocked so much expansive landscapes, because I no longer go with this overwhelming, like, crippling fear. And I think the series that you're working on is going to be amazing. One final question that I'm trying to ask everybody is, what's one habit or practice that you do that helps you deepen your relationship with the natural world?
I try to sleep faster so I can. Okay. That's a good one. I would say I try to be grounded. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes if I'm not, because it's not easy to be all the time, because life brings so much stuff. Like, if you think about your bill, you think about this. But, like, sometimes I just go outside and, like, I just go barefoot, or like I just remove my foot to be like on the ground on my foot. I just remove my shoes to be directly on the ground, and just trying to visual myself that I am grounded.
Yeah.
To just come back in my body, because sometimes, like, I can be everywhere. So I just try to bring myself back to be grounded, and then, like, everything seems to be like calmer, like when I get grounded.
Yeah. So almost like a meditation of sorts.
Yeah. Okay. And then, like, you can start and you feel connected, and
Yeah. Do you do anything other than, like, I've heard barefoot walking, a lot of people talk about the benefits, but are there other ways that, like, shape a powerful morning? If you're feeling ungrounded, like, how do you find that in the morning? What are some of the things that you would do?
If I'm a bit, like, everywhere and I don't know where to go, for myself, I write a list.
Okay.
If I have a list, then I focus and I know where I'm going. and it's easier for me to be productive in that time. It can be as simple as, like, taking an hour for myself to read.
Yeah.
Just a simple list to bring me back, to ground me again on like me and like stuff that I have to do. I get up and I start working right away. That's like most of the time if I have my list, because usually I'm always like, have a list the night before. But like, I just get up and I'm quick in the morning. I mean, like, when I get up, I start working right away and then I do my stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I even don't have breakfast, don't drink coffee. I don't drink coffee. But like, so that's pretty much the way I do it. And that, ground me and make me being productive.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
It definitely makes sense. Yeah. I think it's the piece that I struggle with a lot, of just like, how can you find these tools that center you and get you to like focus on breath and being where you are in that specific moment. And like, even when you talk about looking at a flower, I always, growing up, like, you hear that kind of phrasing fairly regularly, but when you actually do it and you observe, like, actually just look at the flower, there's a level of connection that you feel to yourself in that moment. And I can imagine barefoot walking, or like just ways to like hone you in and allow you to exhale and just be.
Well, because to me, it's easy to just be everywhere and like being gone somewhere. So like the fact of just bringing myself back, and like being self-employed, it's easy to be everywhere, like, and not having any guidance. And then like, so being my own, like, boss, and telling myself what to do, and like, telling myself you can relax now, and then like, so lots of like introspective. So lots of
like introspective. Totally. Yeah. Well, awesome. I know you have a massive travel day tomorrow. I won't take up more of your time. If you want to just tell anybody like what you're doing quickly in Argentina, I think it's super cool.
I'm going to paddle a river with friend. That's the Grand Canyon. It's 14 days, and that river might have a dam on it. So like, more people that paddle it, more people can promote it, like what is beautiful and like it's useful like this, like to do not destroy the natural environment. So like that's what we're going to do. We have 12 from the Yukon, one from Manitoba, and one from Quebec, and there's an American and a guy from UK as well that is doing it.
Amazing.
So like, leaving tomorrow and coming back in 2 weeks ish, and it's gonna be a quick trip, but I mean, I think it's gonna be amazing. We're starting in altitude, and then we're gonna go down, and then I go down.
That's so good. I cannot wait to hear about it. And I think hopefully we could do this again, and you can tell me all about your trip down into Argentina, because I think it's important stuff, and I think it's the piece that people are losing sight of like development and decision making is separating our connection to these places, and it's people like yourself and the team that are helping people reframe that and see, don't make these sacrifices. Like, these are the pieces that have multi-generational impact. So thank you so much for everything you do, and thanks for the great chat.
And thank you too.